Yes, in this session, we'll discuss about the concept of OSGi. Okay, so one of the main core backend module. So where the entire whatever we'll be implementing inside the backend module, except Sling model, is a part of this OSGi. So before discussing about the OSGi, so first we have to understand the life cycle of a bundle. Okay, because every time when you are when you are writing any backend, we are building the entire project, right? So by using the command, we are deploying the project again and again into the AEM instance. If you make any single change inside the, so right now, how does they get deployed into the AEM instance? So how we can work on them, how or where they will be a part of the AEM instance. So in this session, we'll discuss about the concept of OSGi, so which is managing the entire backend module of the uh, which is managing the entire backend module of the AEM. So in this session, we'll discuss about the OSGi. So before discussing about the OSGi, so if you go for a project, so how many folders does the project is having? So inside the project, we have a lot of folders, right? To manage different things, UI apps we are having, and then so we are having a lot of folders. So UI.apps is one folder we are having, and then core is one folder we are having, and then UI.frontend all is one module we are having, and then UI.content, UI.config, and then we are also having some more folders inside the project. So UI apps, UI frontend, all content config, UI.frontend. So to manage your front-end module, so UI.frontend. So these are the different modules we are having inside a project. And when if I want to deploy all these modules, which is managing multiple things inside the project, if I want to deploy all these modules, then we are using the Maven command. So MVN clean install minus p auto install single package. So this is the command we are using ambient clean install minus p auto install single package. So when it comes to this command ambient clean install minus p auto install single package. So at this case, what happens? All the modules will be get compiled one after other, which is available on the main form.xml file. So in a project form.xml file, so you have one configuration. So with the help of that configuration, you are able to deploy the project into the AEM instance. So all is one module which will configure each and everything, and the all module gets deployed into the AIM instance. So that is one of the case how they are deploying. But if I want to just segregate these things into a front end module and a back end module, so how can I segregate? Because the way the front end modules gets deployed into the AIM instance and the way the back end module gets deployed into the AIM instance is a whole different process. Okay, so they don't follow the same approach, or they don't follow the same way in order to deploy these modules which are available here into the AEM instance when we use this command. So if I transfer them, or if I segregate them into the front-end modules, so UI.apps, UI.frontend, UI.config, UI.content, some UI.all is also one folder we are having. So these are all the front-end modules. Okay, so in order to manage your components or templates or pages content or configurations, any OSGI configurations you are trying to create, so at that case, they will be a part of this one. So when it comes to the backend modules, so we are only having one backend module, which is the core module. So entire your backend, anything you are trying to create, so the entire backend will be inside the core module only. So where you'll be writing inside the core, you'll be having source main, and inside the main you'll have a lot of packages to create models, to create OSGI configurations, or to create workflows, schedulers, event listeners. So any kind of content you want to create, you will be creating inside this core module only. So inside this core module, you have a lot of things, whatever the backend part you want to perform, so the entire backend part you can perform inside this core module. And when it comes to this case, so inside the inside the UI front end module. So how they get deployed? So how the UI front end will get deployed, or how the backend modules we are having, how the backend modules get deployed. So here, when it comes to the front end modules, so these front end modules will be deployed in the form of packages. So when we use this command, mbn clean install command, so of package, so all the UI apps, UI front end, config, content, so all they will be generating on files called as an .zip files. So .zip files is nothing but an package. Okay, so all the packages will be generated. So every module, apps module, front-end module, config module, content module. So all these modules will generate one file called as an .zip file. So with the help of this .zip file, we are able to deploy. So this .zip file we can call them as a package. Okay, so simply we can call them as a package, and they will be deployed. All these modules will be deployed in the form of package. So this package or .zip file is not the correct name for the front end modules. So we usually call them as an content packages. So we usually call them as a content packages. So these content packages gets deployed into the package manager, and from the package manager, they will be installed into the CRXT. So where the content will be stored in here. So if I go for any module, if I open my project, inside my project, if any modules, okay, so course main or if I go for a project. So inside the project, I'm having a lot of things. So all is one folder, core is one folder we are having. And then if I go for UI apps and then target, and then inside the target, if you observe this package, so it is sending us AEM guides hyphen sub UI apps dot 0.0.1 snapshot dot zip. So how it is sending? So it is a sending, it is deploying into the AEM instance as a part of an package. So, okay, it is deployed as a content package, not only UI apps. So if I go for UI front end, so UI front end also will have the same thing. So if I go for UI content, target. So they will be deployed in the form of an zip file. So every front end module, every time when we compile, so all the front end modules will be deployed in the form of an content packages. So when it comes to the backend modules, so that is nothing but the core modules. So these core modules, how they will be deployed or how they will be used in this case. Okay. So when it comes to these backend modules, so these backend modules should be compiled, right? So if you have remembered, so we have created a Sling model, but for the Sling model, we haven't created any object. So we have created an object inside the HTL. Okay, but inside the Sling model, I haven't used any main method. So when it comes to the core Java class, if you want to run a Java class, first I have to create a class, right? So public class main is one class I'm creating, and then I have to create a main method. So if you want to execute this class, so at that case I have to create the main method, right? So public static void main, and then inside that string args. So this is the part of which we have to follow. So this is the thing we have to write. So public class main and then public static void main. So without this main method, whatever the main method I'm having here, so without this main method, you can't perform any action, because whenever we are having the main method, so JVM executes this main method directly. But when we return the Sling model as well, so we haven't created any main method, but still the class gets executed. So when it comes to OSGI as well, we'll be not creating any objects. So automatically OSGI Apache Felix container will create the objects. So that's how every backend change we are creating. So we have to deploy those changes. So then how this core module will be deployed? So deployed in the form of an .jar file. Okay, so .jar contains a lot of metadata, and then lot of whatever it will contain a lot of things, compiled Java classes, and it will contain manifest.mf file, and then it also contains some OSGI configurations. If you are passing OSGI configurations, so they will also be a part of this .jar file. So how this .jar file is generating? So which is the main part inside the OSGi bundle lifecycle? Because with the help of this bundle, so we can perform a lot of actions. So right now when we are having this .jar file, so this .jar file is actually called as a bundle. It is not called as a jar file. It is called as a bundle. So this bundle, when it gets deployed into the AEM instance, it follows a life cycle. Okay, so when we use this command, so it will not directly go and sit there. So it will follow some life cycle. So during the process of the life cycle, this bundle undergoes into several steps. Okay, so whenever it is transforming from one state to another state, so internally an event will trigger. Okay, so if we want to perform any actions during these life cycle methods, so at that case we can easily perform with the help of the OSGi, with the help of the bundle lifecycle. When suppose when a bundle goes into an install state or when a bundle goes into the active state, so at that case I want to perform some action. So these are the lifecycle methods. For every lifecycle method, or maybe in one lifecycle method, I want to perform some action automatically. So at that case, with the help of the bundle lifecycle only, we can check. Okay, so how does this bundle is generating? How it gets deployed into the AEM instance? So what does this bundle contain? So this bundle contains a lot of things. So first it will contain a manifest.mf file, so which is nothing but metadata. And second one, it will contain the compiled Java classes, compiled Java classes, and it also contains the OSGi data. So whatever the container we are having, so these are the three parts of a bundle. So how this bundle is generated? So in order to generate this bundle, actually we have two plugins. So these two plugins are responsible to generate the bundle. So we are having two plugins, and these two plugins are responsible to generate this bundle, and it gets deployed into the AEM instance. So first one, we are having BND Maven plugin, and second one we are having uh, one is BND Maven plugin, and second one which you can find out in your form file. So MVN Maven plugin or not. The BND Maven plugin is one thing, so I'll check in the form file. Okay, so this BND Maven plugin is one plugin we are having. So with the help of this plugin, we are able to generate the bundle, or we are able to generate the bundle. So in order to get deployed it into the AEM instance, we are having one more plugin which will deploy that into the AEM instance. So in this case, when you are using MVN clean install, okay, so when we are using this MVN clean install command, so this MVN clean install command internally calls this BND Maven plugin, and this BND Maven plugin is responsible to generate the bundle. So where this BND Maven plugin would be available? So inside your core, you have one file called as an pom.xml. So inside that pom.xml, you can find out the BND Maven plugin. If I go inside, if I go inside this code, so here we have this pom.xml file. If I go inside this pom.xml file, so we have this plugin that is BND Maven plugin. Okay, so we are having this plugin that is BND Maven plugin. So with the help of this BND Maven plugin only, this package is generated. So BND process and then import packages. So whatever you are having inside the core module. So all the core modules, so to include them inside the core modules, so this BND Maven plugin is responsible to include all the files. You are having a lot of Java files, you are having a lot of OSGI configurations. So all the lot of imports you are having. So all these imports, if you want to get inside, so at that case, with the help of this BND Maven plugin. So this BND Maven plugin is responsible to generate this .jar file. Okay. So once this .jar file is generated, so right now how it will be generated when we use this command. So mvn clean install command, so it will be cleaned and it will be installed into the repository. So during the time of installation, so this bnd maven plugin will be this bnd maven plugin gets activated, and then it will generate this .jar file or bundle, so which is the correct name of the .jar file. Okay, so this .jar file, now this .jar file needs to get deployed into the AEM instance. So how it is deploying into the AEM instance? So at this case here, we are having one more plugin, that is Sling Maven plugin. So with the help of the Sling Maven plugin, okay, so with the help of the Sling Maven plugin, so at that case it will be deployed into the AEM instance. So whenever we are trying to build, okay, so when we use this command mvn clean install minus p auto install single package, or if you are using any other command as well, mvn clean install minus p auto install bundle, or mvn clean install minus p auto install package. So any of these three commands if you are trying to use, so at that case every time this action will be performed. Okay, so where it will it will call both the plugins pnd maven plugin to generate the jar file and then sling maven plugin to get deployed that into the AEM instance. So any of these actions will be performed, any both of these actions will be performed and then it will be deployed into the AEM instance. So how can I check? Okay, so this is a .jar file. So how can I check where this .jar file would be available? So if you want to check whether where these .jar files are available, so AEM has provided something called as a web console. So inside this web console, actually you can find all your bundles. So whatever the bundles you are having, so all the bundles you can find out inside the web console. So if I go inside my core, if I open the project core project, okay, so core and then target, inside the target you can see so AEM guide step 0.01 snapshot jar. So jar is nothing but a bundle. Okay, so if I want to check where it will be available inside the AEM instance, so at that case inside the web console we have to go, so go to start.html and then we are having a tools and then operations, and inside the operations we have something called as an web console. So go inside this web console. Inside the web console, here we have an option of OSGi and then here we have an option of bundles. So go inside this bundles. Okay, so inside the bundles, whatever your project ID is there. So this is nothing but your project ID. AEM-guides-september.core is nothing but your project ID. So you have to search here with the help of that name. So AEM guides okay, so if you search here, so here your project is available. So weekend site project core is the core module you are having. So inside this core module, you have a lot of information. So how this information is coming? So declarative service components, used service components, manifest.header. So how all these packages or how import package, so how they are including. So as I said before, so this bundle contains a lot of metadata, right? So within the manifest.mf file. So this manifest.mf file is responsible to generate this metadata. And then here, if you observe here, the status of the bundle is active. So by defaultly, if you want to work anything on the AEM, so all the bundles should be in the active state. So without the bundle being in the active state, you can't work on this bundle. So either what does the bundle contain? So this bundle contains the Java classes you have created, okay, or the OSGi components or OSGi services you have created. So if you want to work on those classes, if you want to perform the actions on those classes, so at that case, this bundle should be in the active state. So without the bundle being in the active state, you can't execute any of that classes. Okay, so that is how the bundle gets deployed into the AEM instance. So by using the BND Maven plugin, the .jar file will be generated. So which contains these three things: manifest.mf file, compiled Java classes, and declarative service components or services, which is nothing but the OSGi. So when we use this command, so Sling Maven plugin, when we use the -p auto install single package, so at that case Sling Maven plugin gets activated, and this Sling Maven plugin is responsible to deploy that into the AEM instance. So that is the process where it will follow. So this entire bundle manufacture, this entire bundle creation or the process of deploying of the bundle is entirely managed by the Apache Felix console. So Apache Felix, this OSGI, whatever we are having open service gateway initiative. So this OSGI is just an specification. Okay. So its implementation is provided by the Apache Felix console, and Apache Felix console is responsible to perform this action. So open service OSGI is nothing but open service gateway initiative, which was an specification. Implementation is provided by this Apache Felix console. So once it is done, so yeah, so once here, if I want to observe, so what does this .jar file contains? So you can just copy this .jar file. Okay, so you can cut them as well. So no issue. Yeah, we'll just copy this one. Okay, so once if I copy, just create one folder inside the anywhere. Just try to create one new folder and place that inside this folder. Okay, you can just go inside this .jar file if you are having any extension actually. So WinRAR extension if you are having, you can explore the jar files in this case. Okay, so try to extract it. So then you'll be compressed to a zip file. Okay, so if I go inside this one, so here I'm having a lot of information. So OSGi is I'm having, metadata is having, and then com is also I'm having. So com is nothing but the package name. So com dot search dot AEM guides September and then core. So here you are having all your Java classes. So right now if I go for model, so you can observe the dot class files of the model. So demo model dot class. So demo model child dot class. So we have created a dot Java classes, right? So, but here if you observe, so after building the project, inside this bundle, it is containing the dot class file. So first it is containing this dot class files, and second what I've said, so it contains the metadata. So inside the mainface.mf file, so it contains a lot of metadata, which is nothing but which is nothing but the project which you are getting deployed. So a lot of import package we are using, a lot of dependencies we are using, right? So we are using something called as an org Apache Sling imports I'm using. So when I'm creating a Sling model, I'm using import org.apache.sling API resource. So this is some import we are using. So how these imports are available in AEM? So all these imports are mentioned inside this pom.xml file. Okay, so once we compile them, so inside this mainface.mf file, inside the export packages, so those things would be available here. So RG Apache Sling API. So inside this API dot star means all the resources which we are trying to use, all the resources that we be imported. So RG Apache Sling model annotations, Sling model. So API resource. So injector specific is one, and we injector some metadata. So bundle specification, bundle category, we can say it's project. So all these files it is having here. So export packages, import packages, and then we are having service components. Okay, so Sling model classes, whatever the Sling model classes you have created, so all the Sling model classes are also available here. So this is the information that is getting deployed into the web console. So you can see the same information inside the web console as well. So what import packages we have used, what are the service components you have created. So this is the MF file. So this mainface.mf file is responsible to take the bundle into the active state. So this is called as a life cycle of a bundle. So with the help of this life cycle of a bundle only, you can perform a lot of actions. Okay, so how does this life cycle of bundle is there, and how every bundle goes into the active state? So if you observe here, I have total 585 bundles, and all the bundles are in the active state. So every time if you are created an OSGI configurations or OSGI services you have created, so if they are not executing, so in that case, first you have to check whether these components or services or the bundle is in the active state or not. So first you have to make the bundle into the active state. So what is the life cycle? How it is going into the active state? So here, this is the Apache Flix console. So here you can see. So basically, what happens here is, so we have the project inside the local file system, right? So I have created a Java class where I'm creating inside the VS Code I'm creating. So maybe in the project you are having, but still you are creating inside your local repository, which is nothing but in your system you are creating. Okay, so that file or that content would not be available on the AEM instance. Okay, so for that only we are deploying the package. So when we are using MVN clean install, so but the MVN clean install minus P auto install bundle. So these two plugins were there. So one BND Maven plugin will generate the jar file, and Sling Maven plugin is responsible to transfer this. Just open your CRXT, and inside the CRXT, can go to your project. So September is my project. Yeah, weekend is the name of the project. And then inside this weekend, I'm having an option of OSGI. So here, weekend package is something we are having packages. Go inside content and then install. And inside install or application install. Yeah. So inside the weekend packages, inside the application install, you can physically see your core file. So am-guides-core September 0.0.1 snapshot dot jar. So if you want to physically check whether the jar file is available or not inside the CRXT, because from here only it will be checking the access controls whether the current user is having the permission or not. So if the current user whoever is logged in, so right now we are logged in as an admin user. So this admin user, if the admin user is have the permission, so at that case it will try to get deployed that into the AEM instance. So that is one main thing which we have to look into. So AEM guides hyphen September core 0.0.1 snapshot.jar. So from here it is getting deployed into the modular layer, which is nothing but the web console. So while deploying it in the web console, so this is the process it is follow. Okay, so right now we are having here. So inside core.jar, we are having the content. So from this core.jar, so first it will be going inside the modular layer inside the OSGi. So whenever the bundle first goes into the modular layer, so at that case it will be in the installed state. Okay, so this is the first lifecycle method, which is nothing but the install state. So the data which was transferred from the JCR to the OSGi modular layer, so then the bundle goes into the install state, which is the first lifecycle method. So when the bundle is in the install state, what it will check is, so whether all the import package, whatever the import package or the export package we are having, so all these import package and export package, whether they are available in the AEM or not. Okay, so we are using some of the annotations, right? ORG Apache Sling model annotations. So, okay, some imports we are using. So first it will check whether all these imports, whatever the imports we are having, so whether all these imports are available inside the AEM or not. So if this imports, all the imports have available inside the AEM, so without any error, so at that case, the bundle goes into the second lifecycle state called as an resolved state. Okay, so this is the second lifecycle state, which is nothing but the resolved state. So when it will go, so when all the import packages and all the export packages are available inside AEM, so at that case, the bundle from the install state, it will be moved into the resolved state. Okay, so what does this resolved state contain? So this result state contain the actual content of the thing. Okay, so that will be going into the result state. When it will go into the result state, all the import packages and export packages are available. So consider you are working on it. Okay, so you are working on bundles. Okay, you have created one we have created one Java class and you have deployed that into the AEM instance. So after some time, the Java class is not working. So whatever the action I want to perform, so the action is not actually triggering. So if I want to troubleshoot, so first I have to check whether the bundle is in the active state or not. So if the bundle is not in the active state, so that means if the bundle remains in the install state only. Okay. So right now, if I go inside this console, so right now it stays here active. So as the bundle, if it is showing here, the bundle is installed. Okay. So status installed. If it is showing as the status is installed, so at that case, what we have to do? So we have to check whether all the input packages are there or not. So in some cases, it will throw an a red one. Okay, so right now it is back right. So somewhere in some cases, if any one of is in a red case, so at that case the bundle will not go into the that case the bundle will be in the install state. Okay, so when the bundle will be in the install state, if any issue in the import package or if any issue in the export package, at that case the bundle will be in the install state only. So maybe if all the things have been resolved, so all the things are identified in AEM, so the second life cycle state it will be moved, which is nothing but the resolved state. Okay, so after the resolve state, so automatically the bundle will go into the third life cycle method, which is the start method. So which is an optional method. This start is an optional method. So when the start method will be executed, so this start method will be executed when we have one configuration. And so right now we don't have this bundle activator, right? So I don't see any bundle activator here. So if I want to get the bundle activator, so at that case, how I need to get the bundle activator inside this manifest.mf file. Okay. So at that case, first you have to create that bundle activator. So whatever the bundle activator